Welcome to the Movie Clerks podcast, the podcast where we love movies, talk about movies, and go over those movies. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking King Arthur by Guy Ritchie, and we're going to be talking the Netflix movie In the Shadow of the Moon. One quick spoiler alert. If a piece of content has been out on a streaming service for more than 5 days, not the premium, not the theater only, not the special release, but actually out on the platform such as Netflix or Disney Plus, or it's in a red box, and it's done that for more than 5 days, we will talk about that content without a spoiler. However, we will put the titles of what we're talking about at the beginning of the show, so you know whether or not something that you don't want to have spoiled for you, or if you're still on a journey with a particular thing, if that's going to be on the show or not. If a content did not come out in the last 5 years, you will not get a spoiler alert for that either. We will feel free to spoil movies that have been out for more than 5 years as well. And last show note, two last show notes to get it all out of the way at the top. If you want to find out how you can support the show, head over to our Patreon, Hyperreal Media Group, LLC. You can support this and many other podcasts. If you want to join in on the action, debate us on our movies, or maybe add a movie in there that you would like to see us talk about, head over to our Discord, the Hyperreal Media Group Discord. Jump in the Movie Clerks podcast and go ahead and chat us up. And last show note, this is not a podcast about the Movie Clerks by that legend Kevin Smith. Although I am a Kevin Smith fan, Scooter is a Kevin Smith fan adjacent. This podcast is not related to nor discussing only the movie Clerks. Rather, it is we are clerks of movies, and we want to have that movie conversation with you because we both love movies. Now, to much of your surprise, Scooter, I did my homework.
What?
That's correct.
Wow.
I did my homework, man. So,
do you want to start there, or are you still formulating your dissertation?
I'm still formulating my dissertation on the.
Okay.
No, we can start with homework if you want, man. That's fine. Let's start with yours though. You watched King Arthur by Guy Ritchie. So what's the upshot there? Give it to me.
Well, I will say this about Guy Ritchie's King Arthur, is that he doesn't care about your canon either, because there was nothing that was in canon in that movie.
Well, okay. So, hold on. I think King Arthur officially doesn't really have canon at this point, though. I mean, in terms of there's the high points, right? There's the sword, there's the lake, there's the Merlin, right? And that's kind of it, right? You have to have King Arthur, you have to have Excalibur, you have to have Lady of the Lake, you have to have some Knights of the Round Table or some kind of round table, and it has to be called Camelot. And I think outside of that, that's like what the canon has been boiled down to.
Well, and he barely had that, I think.
So what was your overall take? Give it to me, man. Like, you watched it, you dug it, you didn't dig it? What's...
Well, here's what I will say. I will say, because I don't care about your canon, I think will become my catchphrase. But I did, after reading the intro about Mordred, it's like, okay, I had to go look in the mirror. It's like, this is not canon, forget about your canon. And then I could watch it. Here's what I think I've discovered about Guy Ritchie films, and I'm afraid it might also apply over to Zack Snyder, which we'll find out later this week, I hope. But he loves his trick gimmick camera angles, which are amazing. He loves his musical scores because he likes to do his musical video thing, and he has stunning visual effects. But the slow-mo stuff, I think I'm over. And this movie had potential. It had a lot of potential, and I just think it fell short.
Well, what do you give the dialogue in the movie, though?
Oh, the dialogue's garbage. Oh, I hate the dialogue.
Why
Oh
are
my
you
gosh.
hating on the Guy Ritchie dialogue? Are you a Quentin Tarantino hater, too?
I love Tarantino.
But that's his staple, is dialogue. And Guy Ritchie, the dialogue in the Guy Ritchie films is so poppy. It's like, it's very snappy.
But here's what I will. Here's what I'll say about Quentin Tarantino. And maybe it's just that maybe I just don't love Guy Ritchie as much as I love Quentin Tarantino. But because as I say this, and it sounds absurd, you're not going to put modern language in an Arthurian time period. It's just, I think that's what it just felt so like over the top, just ridiculousness. where at least with a Tarantino film, yes, it's snappy, yes, it's kind of modern and jazzy, but at least it has a feel that's kind of in its surrounding. Where
Are you seriously going to defend that? Like, think about like the opening of Pulp Fiction, right? Think about the opening dialogue in Pulp Fiction, right? Now you're going to tell me that you think that that's realistically how those people would
okay,
articulate,
okay,
that they would
so
be that articulate, that they would be that
so so
on point.
okay, but we're talking about a film that takes place in theoretically in the movie time period. What is it, the 80s? Pulp Fiction
No,
versus like
I
the
think it's the 90s. I
1300s.
think it's like no, I think it's like 91. But
Okay,
what I'm saying is nobody talks like that. Nobody talks like Quentin Tarantino movies like dialogue.
no, but he's not
Look
doing
at Hateful Eight. Look at Hateful Eight. Right.
right.
It's a Quentin Tarantino
It
film.
is. It is.
It's got Quentin Tarantino dialogue in it.
It
And
does.
none of that dialogue is period.
I didn't say it
But
was, but it's closer
okay,
to the period that
but
it's in than it
no, it's
is with
not.
Guy Ritchie and
No,
Our Theory
not
Legend.
even. Okay, okay, wait. So what year? So if I knew more about history, I'd argue with you on that. But I'm gonna not argue with you on it. But I am gonna say that you got to pick a lane, man. You can't like
I am
Tarantino
never
dialogue
going. I am
and
never
then
going to pick a. Nope, you're not going to put me in that box. I am going to be a conundrum all the time, and that's okay because I know what I
no,
am, and I'm special.
but that's the thing. Well, that's all right though. But that's one of the great things about being a fan of movies and
Yeah,
films is that it's so nuanced and it's
yeah,
so specific to
yeah,
each person. That's one of the reasons we get a thrill about talking about it, is because
yeah.
we enjoy talking about the space that exists between what people enjoy as entertainment.
Well, I mean, so if I'm going to be fair, right? Because that's the thing about it. At the end of the day, as long as we're fair, I didn't love the language. I didn't love the banter. And actually, you know what? And honestly, probably the banter would have been probably fine if there wasn't those really massive Arthur like narrative buckets where they're going to the dark island and and there's that whole like dialogue back and forth with everybody where they kind of fast forward through all that stuff because it's like he kind of realized, well, this is like an hour's worth of movie that we got to cram into 5 minutes. So let's just do some witty banter back and forth. And I think it's that, and then I think it's the other scene where they're talking about with when they're talking, in that moment with the 5 or 6 other families of the royal, to try to overthrow. If those moments might not have been so just over the top ridiculous, maybe I could have gotten into the whole dialogue piece. But the other thing that really kind of took me out of the film is when they're running through the alley. That it's basically a modern day planking video where they're like running and you get that ha 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 right, and they're jumping over stuff and they're moving through, and it's just like, I mean, it's he has phenomenal camera stuff. He really
That
does.
still cam, the shot you're talking about is it's a mounted still cam,
It's it's
but the screen shakes instead of like the
right.
camera shaking when they run,
Yeah.
but it's focused. I have to admit, I love that
Oh,
technique. I
I
just when
love
it's
it.
over, yeah, that's if it's overused, right?
Right.
It can be super
And
bad, but
that's my
I
problem with
like
the
that
stuff.
shot.
Oh no, it's a great shot. No, I can appreciate the shot. I love the shot. I even love the jiu-jitsu stuff. When they're doing the body shots. I mean, Guy Ritchie loves boxing. There's no question. I mean, you take that and you take the first Sherlock Holmes movie. He loves that stuff, and I can appreciate it. But it's like, dude, I get it. I get it. Can we grow a little bit? And can we tell a story? Just tell a story. Um, because it's shot beautifully. That, like you said, the alley camera scene is amazing. I liked it. It didn't flow with the rest of it necessarily, in my opinion. Um, and you know what? I really wanted Jude Law to be more of an evil badass.
I'm not sure how he could have been more evil, other than
But
he's pretty nasty in this, man. He's pretty badass.
okay, so if we take out the 2 murder scenes,
If we take out all the crimes he committed, he's not that bad of a guy.
but it like creates the. I mean, okay, yes, he killed his wife, and he killed his daughter, but there was
Okay,
no
so
emotion.
right there, that's a hard stop. Like there's no conjunction that can fix that. You can't. You're not going to transition into. Yeah, but I'd have him over for dinner. Like this isn't gonna. That's not a thing that can happen.
Okay, so here's my stance, right? And this is my argument. He gives this brilliant speech about fear, right? He gives a brilliant speech about fear, and then he walks out at the base of the tower that they're constructing, right? And he waves his hand, and literally everybody bows before him, right? That is an amazingly powerful scene. I just don't feel like he'd earned. I mean, other than the fact that it's been referenced that he has 10,000 matching, knights that ramaging through the city, which is overkill. But other than that, I mean, you don't really. I mean, I wanted to see him, right? I wanted to see him have this magic. I wanted to see him use the magic. I didn't want him to have to go talk to the serpent lady to become the evil bad person that it has the power and the ability to kill his brother and kill his wife and ultimately kill his daughter.
Well, so that's a story device that has to be there, though. Otherwise, there's no threat. Like if he can just do it anytime he wants, without sacrifice or without cause. If he can access that power at any point, then the sword coming out and all these other things just doesn't matter because at any moment he could turn into like this. This badass evil knight and just wreck things. So there's no army that could challenge him. There's no. So you have to have some limit on. There has to be balance to that power, otherwise there's no drama.
Well, I didn't feel like there was drama anyway. I mean,
they're building the drama is there, but whether you feel it or not, or whether you buy it or not, is different. Well, but the drama is there.
So the drama is built around the building of the tower because he wants to kind of embody his magic school friend, right? Which is the premise of the movie. And so they're all concerned about the construction of the tower. And we get two really cool scenes where he strokes the candle and it lights, right? Which is when the first time people are like, ooh, what's going on there? That's a little weird, right? And then you get the other one where he's able to create the fireball in his hand, right? That seems
you wanted
to
see him be more of an evil mage. You wanted the
yes,
evil mage.
Yes.
Like you didn't get the action that you wanted.
Right, I wanted him to be terrifying. Because even Arthur, who's this reluctant hero, right, which I didn't mind his story. I didn't mind the fact that he was a reluctant hero. I didn't mind the fact that he only cared about the people who basically raised him. That didn't necessarily bother me either. But it's just like even in that moment, right, where he's touched a sword, he kind of gets a little bit of the heebie-jeebies about it. And he's just like, you can kill me, save them, and I'll be good, or, just let me free, or, it's just, I don't know. Story-wise, I feel like there could have been some stuff that just is a little bit tighter on it, and, but I respect it. I mean, I love I love the visuals. I mean, and I really don't hate the witty dialogue as much as I just wish Jude Law was a little bit more scary. I do wish he was a little bit more scary. I wish there was a little bit more of a threat there than him having this massive army and trying to build a tower.
Right on. So Scooter's not down. It was one I like. I really enjoyed the film. I've watched it multiple times, but Scooter not so much. Now we move on to my homework, which was a Netflix original, In the Shadow of the Moon, with your boy Michael C. Hall from Dexter.
Awesome, right?
Well, let's start here. Let's start here and say that making a movie is hard, okay? And that means that if you're a cinematographer, if you're a key grip, if you're a director, actor, catering services, whatever it is that you do to make a movie, it's hard, right?
Yes.
And you can't, even the worst movies are made by the best and most talented people because it's like a soup, right? You got you get the photography, you get the film, you get the actors, you get the director, you get the editor, you get all of these things come together, and sometimes they coalesce and you get Endgame, and sometimes they coalesce and you get Death to Smoochie. So it just there's, but doesn't mean it's tough because when you want to go hard on a movie, right? It's tough because that there are literally hundreds of talented people who put this thing together, and did a great job. It just didn't coalesce into something that that I would rave about, right? And this particular movie, um, I couldn't tell legitimately for the first 15 minutes if it was like taking itself seriously, if it was a parody, if it was supposed to be funny, if it was supposed to be a horror movie, if it was supposed to be like a sad drama, if it was supposed to be if it was supposed to be like apocalyptic, prophecy type of movie. It was tough to tell. This thing is all over the place.
Oh, see, I think it's brilliant.
There are very clear breadcrumbs and signs that they wanted to do an exposition-free as much as possible production. So there's a lot of visual cues in there, which I'm a big fan of. But altogether, this thing was hard to watch, man. And I typically don't watch movies. Even when I'm doing the homework, right? Or I'm doing something I'm going to talk about on the show, I won't watch it by myself for the most part. Now, I watch movies by myself all of the time and have been known to go to the theater by myself to see movies, especially when I'm on the third or fourth time seeing it. But for when I'm doing something for the show, right, I like to just get somebody else's perspective on it. And the person I was watching it with my wife, and she couldn't even get through it. Like I think about halfway through, she was like, "Just let me know when it's over. Like I'm gonna go do something else for a while when it's over." There's just nothing there to hold on to. And honestly, I've been thinking about this movie, like how I was going to sort of tell you what I thought about it. And where it comes down to is it's the biggest waste of potential that I've seen in a long time for a plot being translated into a movie. And I can't even. What frustrates me is I can't even really point to why. It just feels gappy. It feels slow. It feels unnecessarily downtrodden. There's not a lot. There's a lot of feels bad moments in this movie. And even some of the the climactic redemption points of this movie are feel bad moments. I will give it high praise for its Mortal Kombat esque death scenes that it pulls off. Which there are some epic death scenes in this movie. But overall, man, this is a project that just never found its sweet spot. It's a pitch into the home plate. Batter takes a swing, crack off the bat. It's going. Oh, I hit the sign. It's not gone. It's nope. Instead of a home run, it's sort of like bounces off the wall, double or whatever. But yeah, man, I'm not here for this movie, man. It was pretty bad all the way around.
See, I love it. Love it.
Hey, y'all. This is Chris from In the Corner of a Dream. You're listening to yet another quality podcast from the Hyperreal Media Group. You can search for In the Corner of a Dream on any streaming platform, on iTunes, Amazon, or just go to inthecornerofadream.com. Indie rock from New Orleans.
Lives and time will change. It happens every day, but I'm lucky.
Hey, cool guys. Just want to take a minute here and tell you about Hyperreal Media Group, hmgllc.shop. It's the best place to go to get art from around the adjacent universe. You want a cool shower curtain? You want your shower curtain to have a cat face on it? I got your shower curtain with a cat face on it. hmgllc.shop. Do you want a lamp that's in the shape of a box that you can hang that has a cat face on it? I've got a lamp in the shape of a box with a cat face on it that you can have. hmgllc.shop. Art from the adjacent universe. All right, back to the cool stuff. I really enjoyed Michael C. Hall, though. I thought he played that part. To me, that was the only part that was really fun to watch, was just watching how he chose to play that character was fun.
Oh no, he is excellent in it. There's no question about it. But I liked the brother-in-law.
If you're going to do a time travel plot, though, you got to come at me with some real time travel. Like that. This was one of the worst time travel plots I've ever seen.
Oh, see, I liked it. But I'm going to defend it. I think it's brilliant. I really do. I think it's solid.
In what regard? Why? How does this movie hold your attention for 2 hours?
I bought in.
That's fair. I mean, I guess that's
right. It's one of those things where, you start out with the explosion in the opening sequence, right, and then you move into what is it, 1970s Philadelphia, and you get that really sweet, tender moment between him and his wife. They're expecting, and he's got to go. He's got to go to work, and he's burning breakfast, even though it's kind of dinner. And he's aspiring. He's aspiring to make that detective, and he's working really hard to get there. And essentially, this day, this is singular day, is what leads to the unraveling of his life. Because the
Yeah,
birth.
no, I saw it. I was there. I saw
I know,
it.
but I'm saying, but it's
so bad.
but that's the point, right? And that's the thing about it. It's his obsession with this event that happened to him that coincides with his essentially this person dies, right? This person dies. He doesn't exactly know what's going on there. There's that whole interlude there where she's like, she makes that statement, is this where it ends? And then she gets hit by a train, and and then there's he has to rush off to the hospital, which his wife dies but the baby survives. And then it's one of those things, you fast forward that whatever it is, 10 years or whatever happens.
Well, let me tell you something. Let me just tell you something. I did a lot of fast forwarding on this movie.
Oh,
like a lot of fast forwarding,
sure.
Because there's just so many slow moving parts. Here's the thing. I think that do you have? Let me ask you this: do you have kids?
No.
No, you have no kids, right? Which is, I think, honestly, if I'm being realistic, I think that's one of the reasons why you can enjoy this movie and I cannot, because I have kids. And I think that watching how that unfolds from and thinking about it from the child's perspective is it's just too much. It's too hard to watch.
Oh no, I think it's painful. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have kids, but I think that's the strength of the movie. I think that's, to your point, it's extremely dark and it's extremely sad because this moment, he had a choice, right? He could either latch on to the event that happened, or he could latch on the fact that he has his daughter, right? And it's one of those in that moment, right, where you get her birthday, right? You get her birthday, and that it's almost like a Hitchcockian moment of he makes that choice right there. The entity comes back. He becomes obsessed with this mystery. Leaves his daughters chilling on the couch in the police station, and that's the downward spiral. At that point, he makes a choice of what's more important to him, and I can understand as a parent where yes, you'd be like, dude. But I think that's the crust of it. That's
right. But as a parent, you're like, dude, I can't watch this. Like, as a parent, you're like, I can't watch this train go off the rails because really, honestly, and she's not, the daughter is not even really on screen that much. Or honestly, the whole entire, like, if you cut together every scene with the daughter at whatever age for the entire movie, it might be 20 minutes, maybe.
I was gonna say 30, but yeah, it's not 30. Much.
Yeah, out of 2 hours, it's really not much. It's like 1% of the movie. So, but it made it, because I couldn't stop thinking about her angle of it. So I think that's where I ended up landing on it. Did you queue up homework for me coming up this next week? What are we doing next week, Scooter? What's on the show next week?
Well, we're gonna see. I'm fingers crossed, right? We're gonna watch Army of the Dead.
So when does Army of the Dead come out?
Well, it actually comes out on Friday.
It comes out this Friday on what service?
It's coming out on Netflix. But some people yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay, so it's coming out on Netflix. Some people what, though?
Some people were able to watch it over the weekend in theaters, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool. So if you watched it over the weekend in the theater, congratulations.
Yeah,
and we will be talking about this in about a week. No, a week. Yeah.
It'll be a little over a week when it airs.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it when it'll come out on a Friday, and then we will record. We'll record the show talking about it, but then we'll wait until it's been out on the service for 5 days before we release that show.
Yeah,
at a minimum. So you don't have to. That's your only spoiler alert for that for that film. So that comes out this Friday, right?
Correct.
Oh my God, I'm excited! I want to see this film. I can't wait. What's are you gonna put the trailer up in our Discord?
I will. I will have it.
Okay,
It'll be in the show notes here in a second. I just gotta pull it up. YouTube.
right on. So
Yeah, I'm
listeners, if you
excited.
wanna,
It's a heist movie
it's a heist movie,
with
which is your
zombies.
favorite. You son of a bitch, I'm in heist movie. If you're
Yeah,
Rick and
I
Morty
love good
fan.
and bad heist movies. So maybe Zack Snyder will win me back over. Maybe
So
this is his chance.
here's the thing. I'm with you. I like you have seen the Rick and Morty episode where he goes hard on heist movies, and he's not wrong. But I will say, along with my fascination for epic movies such as Waterworld, movies where people are like, why do you like Postman, where they're like, why do you like this movie? I also like heist movies. I gotta be honest. I get a kick out of heist movies. Now I think we're in alignment on which Ocean's movies were good and bad and all that. And I think the accepted knowledge is that Ocean's 11 was good, 12 was a train wreck, 13 was good, and 8 was like, it's okay. like, like it wasn't, and
I like Dan
and
Hathaway.
8, I mean, so that's the thing. And 8 is another one of those movies where you're like, I don't know why I don't like this. I just don't like it. Like, it has nothing to do with anything other than I'm just not here for that. I think for me, and I know people are probably going to lose their minds over this, but like, if you're going to have an Ocean's movie and it's going to be related at all, you got to have at some point, right? There's got to be some like Danny Ocean interaction there, right?
Whoa.
Like, there's got to be a cameo. There's got to be something.
There
to
was.
tie it.
Did you not see
No.
the end of the movie where she's talking to his gravestone? I mean, there was,
Yeah. but it's also clearly he's not dead. So
well, obviously
like
he's not dead.
right. So I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so what it asks of you to believe, it asks you to believe that this would take place in this world amongst these characters, and none of them would be involved. Right? Like, come on, man. Like, it's just the same thing as if, like, when Deadpool talks about it, he's like, well, how come there's never any X-Men in here? Huh? Like, like that kind of thing, right? Like, it's that sort of thing. Like, where you couldn't afford Clooney. Like, I mean, I know Hathaway's is expensive, and Bullock's is expensive, but you couldn't get Clooney. Like, come on. Which just FYI side note, little name drop, if you will. I have met George Clooney's dad. So there you go.
Very cool.
Very cool indeed. When I say met him, I mean I said hi to him. He said hi to me as we passed each other, and that was that. But I'll go ahead and count it. I'm going to count it.
Okay.
Count it.
All right. Nate, he recognized that you are a human being. Congratulations.
Who's the most famous person you've ever met, Scooter?
The most famous person I've ever met.
Or just said hi to, or been in a room with, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we're using met as a very loose term here, because you can't really meet celebrities, really. I mean, like, you can say hi to them, but meeting a celebrity.
Ron Harper once.
You went Ron Harper. How did this? Okay. Did you say hi? What was the story here?
Well, I was in the locker room.
Lunch. Oh, you were in the locker room with Ron Howard.
Yeah. Ron Harper.
Okay.
Ron Harper.
No,
not Ron Howard. Howard would be awesome. Howard would be so awesome. But no, you asked me who I was in a room with. I would say Ron Harper.
Okay, fair enough. Ron Harper it is.
Ron Howard. I wish. I don't have his number. I'm not that cool.
You didn't get the digis. You didn't dibs the digis?
No.
Okay.
I would rather talk to Ron Howard anyway.
No, Ron Howard would be dope, but he is also not making an appearance on this show. I'm fairly confident Ron Howard's not coming on the show.
That would be so awesome.
How epic. Would you blow your mind, right? All right, so we are going to do Army of the Dead. Is that where we're watching?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so no homework this week, right?
I tell you what, it's a brave new world if we're not going to do homework, because we're counting on it either to be amazing or really bad.
Yeah, no, we probably should throw some homework in there.
Just in case?
Probably get. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll do it a little differently, though, this week, so that we don't have to, go off we don't have to shoot from the hip here. What we'll do is we'll both commit to throwing a homework link in the Discord this week for the other one to watch over the course, and then we'll discuss it, as well as discussing the Army of the Dead movie on Netflix. It's coming out in about like 4 or 5 days from now, but it's in theaters over the weekend.
You know.
So you guys can check that out.
I have
So,
to get some listener suggested homework because apparently I
listener
cannot
suggested
pick a
homework.
movie for you, and you're not really good at picking stuff for me either. So far this has been lots of fun.
Well, see, I'm not trying to pick movies that I think you'll like. I'm picking movies I think you should see.
Oh,
That you should. Yeah.
all right.
I mean, I'm picking movies that I like, that I know that I like, that I think that you should see because they have value cinematically or in some other way. They have an effect on the genre, or they have an effect on the zeitgeist in some way, or
Nice.
that they're significant films in some way, one way or another.
See, I'm just trying to figure out what you like enough to pick something that will raise an eyebrow and not just get you and your wife to leave the room. So far.
Yeah. So yeah, no, the last two movies you picked for me, my wife, she jokingly said, "Who is this monster that you're podcasting with?" Like, picking these movies. Probably eats his Kit Kats all at once.
Why is that wrong?
That's a monster move, man. What kind of monster does
Oh,
that?
come on,
You
they're
have
like little fingers.
one at a time. No, one at a time, sir. And you have to chew the chocolate off the outside.
I was
if
gonna say,
you're gonna
do
it
you chew down the sides too?
properly. Yeah, you got to chew down the
Oh,
sides. Otherwise,
and hold on. This is important. Do you take each of the individual wafers apart as well?
I do believe it is proper etiquette to snap the wafer,
Oh,
the sides,
all right.
top, and then the bottom, and then consume the rest of that one at a time.
Okay.
You monster.
So what we need is somebody from Kit Kat to send us some Kit Kats.
Yeah, that's also and Ron Howard will bring them.
Oh,
So,
that would be fantastic! I didn't know he
Yeah.
liked Kit Kats.
yeah, I think
Wow.
that's. I think that might be a big ask.
You do
Might
know
be
Ron
a-
Howard, then? That's so awesome. That's so dope.
I know of him. I've heard of him. Yeah,
Okay.
someone I've seen on TV before. Does that count?
Sure. I mean, as OP.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, actually, I never caught Andy Griffith, but I really don't want to have a Ron Howard conversation. I honestly don't. Not that he's not great; he is great. But we would have to do a whole show on Ron Howard because that's just too much, man.
It's
That's
one of these
huge.
one of these weeks that we don't have anything exciting to talk about. We'll throw him in the mix. We'll do.
Yeah, some people would say we don't have anything exciting to talk about any week, but
Oh, well.
but those people don't listen to the show, so it's fine.
Nice.
So speaking of our show, the Movie Clerks, man,
Yeah.
do you want to? So we're like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 episodes in, whatever. Do you want to give people sort of there might be some new people on board. Do you want to give them sort of a rundown of what the Movie Clerks podcast is all about?
Well, as you discussed in our show opening, we talk. If anything is 5 days old on the streaming services, any streaming service you happen to like, it is fair game. So we are open for lots of rabbit holes. We will. I mean, if you listen to this show, Ron Howard had nothing to do with any of the movies that we talked about.
He was
today.
Ron Howard was not in the opening notes. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, so let's just put it that way. So there's a lot of riffing on stuff that you're like, how did they get there? But I think that's cool. I think it shows our love and our passion for the genre of film. As a collective whole, we love film. You may not be able to determine it from our movie selections, but we love film and we love everything about it. And we just talk about it. It's a fun podcast where we chat about films, we chat about topics, we'll say some really dumb stuff that I'm sure our fans will let us know about, and that's okay too. And
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to cover our no cartoon rule? How did we get a no cartoon rule?
that was you saying no cartoons.
See, I think you misunderstood me. What I was trying to say is, like, I don't think we should discuss movies like, Toy Story, which are specifically made for kids, right? So, like,
See, I
didn't want to get like into that. I didn't want to get into that world of discussing like specifically movies for kids. Now, if you want to talk about shoulder surfing movies, which are movies that you have to watch because your kids are watching them or you're showing to your kids or whatever, and then sort of take it from that perspective of a shoulder surfing perspective, we can certainly talk about some of those kids movies. But I try to watch content with my kids when, we try to have a movie night once a week, sometimes twice a week, where, they'll sit down and whatever, we'll all get on the couch, watch a movie or whatever, have a pizza and that kind of thing. So, and I've shoulder surfed shoulder surfed a bunch of movies and kids content, but I don't know that I really want to like go deep in on any of like Toy Story 1 through 4.
Well, but here's my premise about that. I was talking about Soul, which is an incredible film. I wasn't talking about we should talk about Tom and Jerry.
Well, but Soul leads. No, it doesn't. I was going to say Soul leads, but it really doesn't. It's not
doesn't.
even. It's that. That's just really offensive because that Soul's a really good, high quality product.
Totally.
Totally. Tom and Jerry is a different thing for a different era, which is a different goal, and
right.
So
and the fact that you reference your family and your kids and shoulder surfing, and it's like I have no excuse now for watching these films, and I feel
no,
offended.
You really don't. No, you actually go out and watch them. I have to watch them. So
I want to be well-rounded.
Although if you're a parent and you're looking for some content maybe that you haven't picked up on yet for your kids, I highly recommend a show from the BBC called Sarah and Duck. It is one of, if not the best kids show that I have seen. It's on par with like Daniel Tiger. It's on par with some of some of these other shows. Like some people are big into Doug, some people hate Doug, whatever. But Sarah and Duck it's an amazing watch if you have young kids. I would say ages of 1 to about 4, 5-ish. Sarah and Duck. Go check it out.
This babysitting quarter of the Movie Clerks podcast is brought to you by Adam.
Yeah, the babysitting corner. That's good. Now we have to have a new segment. We have to have a babysitting corner segment where we talk about movies we've watched while we were babysitting our own kids, which is just things for me because you don't have them. So,
no.
Yeah.
I have.
It might be fun to make you go watch the movies though, like just make you go watch Sarah and Duck, like season 1, and you just have to watch this story about like talking bread. Like
what is this crap?
Like what is this? Why am I watching?
Oh my gosh. This is my purgatory for making him watch In the Shadow of the Moon. This sucks.
It is. No, it is, man. I'm gonna be mad at you about that for a while. Not really, but yeah. And that's what I try to explain to my wife too. Is I was like, well, yeah, but that's kind of what it's about. Is watching stuff that you probably wouldn't watch and maybe wouldn't like. That's serendipitous, right? And that's what genuinely when you go into a movie store, you go into a Blockbuster, you go into that kind of thing. When it had a movie clerk, that's the sort of thing you would discuss. You get the movie picks. Sometimes you would watch something you wouldn't end up watching or something that you might not end up liking, but that's the thing, right? It's that proverbial box of chocolate of movies, and if you're just only going to take the kind that you like, you're never really going to expand and really enjoy all of those other films that are out there that you just don't know about, that you just not going to take the time because you don't like the poster or you just didn't hear about it or whatever.
And I think that's the one thing that we do agree on. You may not have liked In the Shadow of the Moon or Space Sweepers, and I might not have really dug Akira, for example. But we both see the quality of the film, and we really respect. They may not have delivered or connected, but we understand and respect the work that went into it. And I think that's
always.
And I think that's the one really cool thing about it. We're not saying it's like there's an episode that as our listeners peruse through the catalog, there is an episode that we do kind of hate on the movie, but we don't hate on the movie as much as we hate on the fact that it could have been so much grander and so much better if it would have been more concise. And I think that's when we talk about this show, that's what we're really talking about. It's like I didn't necessarily hate Arthur. I just wish it was tightened just a little bit and a little bit less of stuff that he is really, really good at and focused a little bit more on the storytelling, because then it would have been really epic, I think. And that's all. They're just my critiques. We're not saying anything is absolutely horrible and trash because we wouldn't watch it if it was.
No, and that's my thing is like we try to explain to some of the listeners is that, sometimes we will use explosive language like, oh, this is garbage or it's trash or whatever, but realistically, that's still in the context of this is, any motion picture that gets completed, made, and published, even, especially to a major platform, but even all the independent projects that are going out there and then make it somewhere, make it to a theater, make it to a wall, make it to YouTube, whatever. All of those things are an accomplishment to be applauded. It's art, and so sometimes you dig the art, and sometimes you'd rather not have to watch it.
Sure.
Sometimes the art makes you throw up. Like if you're watching Blair Witch and you have a vertigo problem, you might just puke.
Yeah.
You might throw up. That is the thing. Yeah, so-
but the film did its job because you were uncomfortable.
yeah, you threw up, so they win.
Congratulations.
And they sold more popcorn that year than
Yeah.
any other year previous.
People were just constantly throwing up in the theater.
Because it was just motion on a huge screen, which is like a nightmare for people who have like vertigo issues. Like that's just not a thing that they, and that's where you start getting, you see these like photosensitive warnings and stuff.
Oh,
They're starting
absolutely.
because they're starting to come to terms with like, hey, just so you know, sometimes people to spend $8 to $12 on a ticket, $8 on a beer, and $12 on popcorn and like half a drink. They sit down in the theater. They don't want to see nonstop shaky camera, and they don't want to see flashing strobe lights the whole time, unaware,
Right.
because now they have to leave because they can't take it. So I think that they're trying to get that out there a little bit more about like, hey, if you have if you're sensitive to this sort of thing, especially like I know people feel different ways or feel some kind of way about like trigger warning type of ratings on movies and content, but like it is important for those people who are want to be fans of something, but really have something in their back pocket that they have to be conscious of. And
Sure.
I think it's nice for the art to finally be coming around and say, hey, by the way, if you're bothered by, these certain things, right, this movie might not be for you, so.
Well, it's a fun analogy, but it's kind of like, an outdoor roller coaster versus an indoor roller coaster. Outdoor, you at least have an awareness that, okay, this is maybe where I might get squeamish. Indoor, you're just scared. Or is that just me?
No, I think that's just you. I think I'd rather have that roller coaster be outside, because inside I'm worried about like like if this thing goes wrong, inside the potential for disaster is so much higher.
I can't see when we're crashing.
Yeah, that's not okay, man.
At least outside I can see the trees. No!
You had a bad experience at Space Mountain, didn't you? Somebody left you like on the Space Mountain ride when you were a kid or something.
No,
Like,
no. I have a fear of heights, and so drop zone
okay.
Yeah, so drop tower at Cedar Point really messed with me, because it's like, they know, right? They know they're going to mess with you because you're like up there counting. Okay, it's like 5 seconds, right? And so they
do the fake
know.
drop. They do like the half fake drop. Yeah.
Yeah. So the operator completely knows. So I'm up there, like I said, and and we're on the lake side. So it's like, oh, this is great, and it's like 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000 drop, and we're still sitting there. 1,000.
Listeners, for those of you who aren't aware, just FYI, Cedar Point is one of the scooters from the Ohio area. I grew up in the Ohio area, and Cedar Point and Kings Island are the two massive Midwestern theme parks that are in Ohio that are in the region. Like this, everyone knows. Like, when I was in middle school and elementary school, we took field trips to both Cedar Point and Kings Island. So when someone says to you, they're recounting to their experience of being like on drop zone at Cedar Point or on the Vortex or on the Beast or whatever. Yep. That's a common language that people outside the Midwest may not have. But so go ahead. I just want to give people some context on like, what is he talking about? Is it Cedar Point? What the hell?
They have drop towers everywhere, folks. It's okay. Yeah, but
right, but like you're at the top of this drop tower.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right? They're faking you out, right? And
yeah.
when does the pee start coming out a little bit?
It doesn't. See, the problem is, here's the problem, right? So we get through like 10 Mississippis, right? And like, okay. So at that point you start to relax. Like, this isn't so bad. And it's that exhale, and then it drops. And then so you're like, however many thousands of feet it feels like. It's not, it's only hundreds. But as the air in your chest completely removes, and you're just like, oh God.
Yeah, no, it's not a great feeling.
No.
So to follow up on one of our earlier homework assignments, you mentioned it briefly, was with the movie Dead Man. You said you might want to discuss that again. So I went and lined up a guest who is also a big fan of Dead Man. So we can do a Dead Man episode in one of the weeks where nothing's premiering that we particularly want to talk about. We can do a Dead Man. So that's coming up, listeners. We're going to do a Dead Man show.
That'd be awesome.
Jim Jarmusch film with Johnny Depp. So we got that on the slate too. But in the meantime and in between time, where can they find you, Scooter?
They can find me at Scooter2621 on Twitter.
On Twitter, yeah. And you can find me at Bite-Sized AC. You can also find us hanging out in our Discord at the Hyperreal Media Group Discord. And if you want to support this and many other shows, head out to our Patreon at Hyperreal Media Group and check us out. Until next time, we will see you later.
Peace.